and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today I'm going to introduce you to the new Director of Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Services for the City of Hampton. He's not new to the city, he's just new to this role. His name is Dave McCauley. Welcome, Dave.
Good morning, and thanks for having me, Robin.
You escaped coming here when you were the 311 Director.
I did. So you got me now.
That's right. That was your previous role in the city, but you haven't been here all that long. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and I spent 30 years in the Army. I transitioned out of the Army in 2013, and then I went to work for a contractor north of Grumman for about 18 months, and then came to the city, as you said, as a 311 Director and Citizen Service Strategist, or Citizen Service Center Customer Service Strategist in 2015. And then in my current role, I took over as the interim Director of Parks and Rec in July, and then became permanent director just a couple weeks ago.
Now, what did you do in the Army? And by the time you retired, you weren't at Fort Monroe anymore, but you had been at some point, right? Figure out exactly.
So you want my, okay, so.
Just a little bit.
So went to the Army in 1983. That was a big year for me. Graduated from school, and then graduated, got commissioned, and got married all in the same year.
Woo!
That's right. And then my first duty assignment was the 1st Armored Division in Germany. Career highlights, not to belabor the point for 30 years, but I was a field artillery officer, so I commanded a battery, which is about 125 person organization in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And then I deployed to Bosnia-Herzegovina as part of 1st Armored Division and an implementation force when it first happened. Later I commanded a battalion, about 400, 500 people, and again deployed back to Iraq as part of initial combat operations, and got to stay for a whole year there as we went through initial combat operations and then subsequent stability and support operations in support of stabilizing the country and what was going on over there. And then I was a chief of staff for 3 Corps Artillery, and then I was a brigade commander, which is about anywhere from about 2,200 people. And then I came to Fort Monroe, then I was deployed to Iraq again. This time I deployed with my son, who was in the Army at the time.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Got to promote him in theater, but it was also very stressful because as I went up in rank, you get more away from the road and actual what was going on, but watching him go out was stressful as well. So anyway, after that, we both transitioned out of the Army. I came to Fort Monroe and was the Assistant Chief of Staff at Headquarters Training and Doctrine Command. And that was when the base was closing at Fort Monroe, and we moved Headquarters Training and Doctrine Command from Fort Monroe to Fort Eustis. Mm-hmm. But I knew I was going to transition, so we stayed at Fort Monroe, and I commuted to Fort Eustis my last couple of years, and then.
So this is a really different background than at least the parks directors that I've known have come up through either recreation or parks, that kind of background. How does your Army training prepare you for this role, and what do you bring to it?
Well, that's a great question. I think that the military training, I always tell people that the military invests in you. They invest in you as the person. So they believe in the professional development of the person at the expense of the continuity of the organization. So you get a lot of leadership and management. So for example, not to throw out credentials, but I think that's I think I have an undergraduate in business and finance. And then while I was in the Army, I got 3 master's degrees.
Wow.
The first master's degree I got was in education and human resource development from George Washington University when I was in the Army. Later on as information technology, because when I first went in the Army, a typewriter, a memory typewriter was technology, and as I left, it is what it is today. Mm-hmm. And then I went later I got a degree from Syracuse in information management, and then later as I was selected for Colonel 06 and Brigade Command, I got to go to Senior Service College, and the boss I had at the time, I was an Army officer. He said, well, I would like you to go to Naval War College. So I went to the Navy War College in Newport, Rhode Island. A very rigorous 1-year master's degree that you earn in, that I earned in strategic studies, what was it? National Security and Strategic Studies. So those are different degrees, like you said. They're different. It's a
Right,
different
they're not
background.
a direct application.
So what I tell
but-
people, it just shows that I have the ability to learn. And I've led in the past. I've led large, complex organizations that have a lot of people, a lot of money, a lot of different tasks. So it's the plug and play mentality that you train the person, invest in them, and then you can go do what you need to do.
Well, and out of the city divisions, Parks and Public Works, I think, are the two largest and most complex. And you have, I don't know how many facilities and how many employees, or if you even know, but dozens.
A lot.
Dozens of parks, plus the community centers, plus some facilities that aren't even open all the time to the general public, like Grunland. And figuring out, you're effectively deploying your resources, doing maintenance. I mean, a lot of the things that people don't think about. You think of the part I enjoy, you think of the programming maybe, or the special events, but not all the infrastructure and maintenance and planning.
But that's a great question. So if you're transferring the skills, so it's, we have, about 1,800 acres of land that we maintain. We have landscaping crew. We have landscaping crew that goes out and does that kind of work. We have an athletics landscaping crew, and we also have a person that handles contracts for the city.
Yeah, people don't always know. You guys are the ones who maintain all the fields at all the schools. You do a lot more stuff than just our own parks facilities.
Right, and we have 11 parks. We have 7 community centers. We have not including the senior center and therapeutic recreation center, and then a lot of basketball, baseball, tennis courts.
Playgrounds.
We have, lots of playgrounds, and so it's a vast and rich resources that we have in the city for both parks and recreation. So and then some of my favorites, Bluebird Gap Farm is a wonderful place. We just had the fall festival there recently. That was fun. Go to Darling Stadium, watch the football games. Go to Gosnell Hole Park, watch the football games. Watch the families have cookouts. People running around the park. Go to Air Power Park, watch people go see the old equipment there, and now enjoy the new trail that we have established. So it's a lot. It's fun. It's rich and it's diverse. Last night I was at the community centers. Y.H. Thomas had their trunk or treat. That was a lot of kids there out in the parking lot, and that's a great organization. Little England did the same thing. Had a great turnout at their place, and then we had North Phoebus Community Center had their Reconnect kickoff last night, and the cool thing about that was, and city manager was there as well, but there was the kids put that on. They don't pay membership, so their investment they kind of earn it. So if their investment is to create the programs and activities, and they did that last night, and it was a fun-filled, and they had a great time. And then the last thing is about your question. So it's a lot of resources. I could go on and on, but I won't. But and then people, we have about 100 personnel, or about 100 full-time folks.
That's fewer than I would have thought.
Well,
but you have a slew of part-timers.
Right, it's 100 full-time, I think 185, don't hold me to these, but I think it's 185 part-time WAEs work, and then another, about the same 185 seasonal. So the average, I was asking, I said, what's the average number of employees we have? And it's about 350 at any given time, but it fluctuates up to over 500.
Right, because in the summer there's so many more programs and lifeguards and things going on.
And we had a great summer at Buckrow this year, too.
We did.
Did you ever go out there?
Oh, yeah. I was at Buckrow a lot. I was at Fort Monroe, Outlet Beach a lot, too. Yeah. But I will say, the city have been some very tough economic years.
Yes.
During the recession and then the very, very slow recovery in home values, we have sort of deferred some maintenance, I think it's fair to say. And we also have more parkland than the average city our size. So you're kind of stepping into this job at a time when, and maybe people always have demands for fix this, improve this, we need this. How are you going to deal with all those requests?
So, great question. So that's another team effort, but and I'll give Brian, my boss, Brian DeProfio, as you well know, is a budget guru. He's now also, he's the assistant city manager, but one of the first things we did when we sat down, he kind of educated me on the process and told, but he gives, or the city gives us monies to the Parks and Recreation Department to do capital improvement projects.
Right.
So, for example, we're fixing, in Brian's task was go fix things, Dave, like you talked about, go fix the deferred maintenance issues that we're talking about. And there's a priority that we established within the department, and that city council is well aware of too, and that want us to get things moving. So one of the things we got going on right now, we have Blue Williams Sports Complex that's redoing the indoor track. We just completed the inclusive playground in Gosnell Hole Park. That's for handicapped folks. It's
very exciting. You have a bunch of new you renovated the shelters or replaced the shelters out there. It looks really good.
We did all that. We were just talking about Darling Stadium with some folks before I came in, and there's lots of things to do out at Darling Stadium. There's deferred maintenance that you can't see what we're going to do, but it will need to be done, as well as the track as well. The track would need to be done, but we would
War Memorial.
War Memorial needs some work. But there's
that should be going on right now all winter, as much as they can do outdoors.
You can pretty much. At Briarfield, we're looking to reinvigorate Briarfield a little bit. I'm looking to get there's a beautiful old building on Briarfield.
I never knew that. I played softball there for years.
The old building in the middle there, it's where the bathroom was and where the vendor used to be, and then the tower. We're going to, my goal before next summer is to fix that up, to turn the water back on so we can use the facilities and people can go up in the tower and look at the ball field, because it's got a lot of charm and uniqueness.
Well, and if you're making some money off of vendor sales or food or whatever, you're at least getting a little bit back.
Right. So exactly.
And people want that amenity.
And so something simple like that, because it could be, and that's, so we're trying to do is, get the biggest bang out of the buck, frankly, and try to, but that would be, just having the bathroom facilities done.
Yeah.
We're also looking at Bluebird Gap Farm, as you've been out, I know you've been out there as well, and we enjoy the fall festival. That gets a lot of activity, especially this time of year, but the bathrooms need to be redone there. So we're looking at we have a great public works maintenance facility that helps us do some of the deferred maintenance. The Parks and Rec maintenance team are a terrific bunch of folks that help us do the deferred maintenance. So they do things in-house that save us money as much as possible, but they are stretched thin, but they do the Lord's work is what I call it, day in and day out, and they work hard to get it all done. And then the things where we need contract support is what we kind of just talked about.
And the big stuff. I know that there are big renovations planned for Buckrow.
Yes.
The
boardwalk. And we know we just put a lot into that. I was out there this summer, and I never really turned. Just a matter of life is a matter of perspective. But I was walking out at Buckrow, and I was always looking toward the water. But I went to where the stage is, where we have Groovin' by the Bay.
And that's all been renovated.
Right, I was just looking at the water, but then I just turned around and I looked at the park. It's a beautiful park. It's got, and I didn't even realize, I was like, when did that gazebo go up? And we had weddings that go up in there. It's a beautiful facility. We got 2 brand new shelters on either.
The pier's been repaired a little bit. It's in good shape.
It's just a beautiful, it really is. It's a natural, precious gem that we need to, harness and keep beautiful. So, and we have, vendor sheds out there, and the Groovin' by the Bay was a huge success.
Oh, I love that. It's always fun.
And the lifeguard stands this summer, we did a lot of standardization on the lifeguard stands. Tell people when green flags mean you can go in the water, red flags mean be careful, and then purple flag means, I'm sorry, red means don't go, be careful. Purple flag means there's certain wavelengths, and then green means you're good to go. But anyway, we did a lot of standardization out there. I think people were happy. We had the beach mats that people can go on and walk. And
that was wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Right. So make it ADA.
And that is something I have noticed, actually probably before you came in, but that the expansion of our parks and community facilities with efforts for people who are in wheelchairs, who have other disabilities or limitations, maybe those rollout mats and the rollout wheelchairs you can float in. The city helped sponsor 2 kids as sort of a Make-A-Wish thing this summer, and they had their first visit to the Bay and floated in those. The playground at Gosnold's, the basketball kind of started as Wounded Warriors and expanded out at Fort Monroe. I mean, there's just been a lot of efforts to expand that to a community that is underserved and has been underserved in the past.
Yes.
So where do we go next? What are the plans?
Well, great question.
I know I'm peppering you, aren't I, Dave?
No, but
But the public wants to know.
Yeah. So I took over as permanent director on the 25th of September. I didn't realize how many night meetings we have, but I've been to a lot of the neighborhood meetings, and it's really neat to see how engaged our community is at all levels.
Well, and Parks touches people.
It touches
people use those facilities.
Yeah. And they're passionate about it.
Yes,
so when
they are.
So there was a lot of meetings I hadn't heard about, but I was walking out, and you get, so either Brian DeProfio or somebody will say, "Hey, you going to this tonight?" I said, "Sure," but I didn't anyway. But I went. So, but and you go and you hear the good and the bad. But but the encouraging thing from those the different neighborhood things was that. They're very honest with you, and so, but they were also encouraging. They'll tell you what you're doing well, and also tell you what you need to fix. So all those things that they tell me we need to fix, I put in those categories. What can we do? What must we do? What can we do? And then what do we need to do long term? So the short term things are again the parks and facilities, or the parks and recreation maintenance staff. What can we do? What can PW do to help us? They're really stretched, as you know. They're
right. They have all the city buildings that they have to maintain.
So a lot of it's the monies, then it becomes contract support. What can we do for longer term? So I mean, I'm establishing priorities. What I've done is gone around to the organization so far as my handshake to the organization, and basically established, as you well know, we've done a lot of high performance organization work for the executive management team within the city, and establishing strategic vision and comprehensive, as part of the strategic vision plus the comprehensive plan that equals the community plan. We just had the kickoff the other night that Terry and the guys did a great job on. But I basically took that kind of training and what I've done in the past and created an organizational vision for the Parks Department, mission, vision, values, leadership, how we communicate. And I rolled that out to the whole staff a couple weeks ago. So I think the feedback I get is largely positive. It's a little structured, but it's largely positive. And I think the big, kind of one of the neat things is a couple of folks came up to me after I gave the organizational vision. Said, "Dave, I feel like I'm part of a profession." I said, "You are." I said, "We have, you were our Parks and Rec professional, and you do a great job." And one of the things I said in that was that what I've seen in my assessment of the Parks and Rec staff is that they're a bunch of talented, passionate individuals, and my job is to unleash their talent. And the way I would do that is providing them the information, the resources, and the authority to get things done and do the things that you're talking about. And the creative, their creativeness is off the charts. I can't think of half the things that they're doing and embracing, and you can see they love it. They're passionate about it. Most of them call this their dream job. So I feel I'm excited about it. I think we have a lot to do, but we do know how to prioritize, and I know what resources to apply where to get it done. But we do have to exercise a little bit of patience, is what I would call it. But I'm not very patient. As the guys and gals on the staff will tell you, they know, they're like, "Dave, you can't do everything like now." But I said, "I know that, but we're going to try to make a difference and do the things that you talked about, and our residents want to get done."
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, is there anything you want to add before we close?
No, I appreciate you having me today. I'm sorry I didn't come on as the 311 citizen contact. You had
to call people, the people who took more
I'll
calls.
put a plug in for 311 as well, because when I was the director at 311 Citizen Contact Center, it's a wonderful staff there. I think they provide excellent service to our city. Information services are like a little mini op cell. They work 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week and only take the city holidays off. But they do a terrific job. And actually, what we do in Parks and Recreation, we ask them for their help a lot for taking reservations, for shelters and everything else. And then one thing I will ask about Civic Rec.
Let's do add that. Thank you.
So the Civic, we recently launched, thanks to your help and our information technology department's help as well. But and two outstanding ladies in our department, Shalonda Wilson and Iris Sproul, were the ones that led our department into moving from USE Direct, which is the old system, to Civic Rec, which is really complementary to what you do in with marketing and Civic
But what
Plus.
that means, because people don't know system names.
So what that means is the people, or that now you can, as you say, you can stay at home in your pajamas and get your membership online, and you can also register for programs. Right now you can do After the Bell, and soon we're going to be able to do all the, you're going to be able to get your shelters and everything else. We have a little bit more database management to do, but it's an exciting new feature, and it's online, and you can do it from home. You don't have to come into the building. You still can. But again, it's going to be
and you'll be able to look and see if a shelter's free. Yes. You'll be able to do all that
online.
Yeah, that'll be
from
so
the
much
privacy of your home
for
or
people.
phone or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
that'll be great. I think people will really take advantage of that,
Yes.
and that'll save folks some time.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks, Dave. And thank you for watching. I hope now that you know who he is, you know who to pepper with your questions about parks and rec facilities. He will be very popular at meetings, I'm sure. And know that he is working to create a system to manage, repair, and take care of our parks and advance our programming. Thanks for watching.